They really are giving me so much content at the minute. So until recently, you would have seen me quoting the 1 in 5 statistics for mental health needs in our teenagers and children from the age of 5 upwards. And this is based on school children and studies they've done on school children. Well, according to this article in The Guardian, it is now almost 3 in 10 secondary pupils are avoiding going to school because doing so would make them ill because of their anxiety and depression. We've got Dr. Nahara Kraus here, the charity's founder, and she's urging schools, the NHS and ministers to increase support for these students. Now, we know there's camhs, granted, but not only does camhs miss the mark, it's over. The waiting lists are astronomical. You can be waiting years in some areas, years to get these children help. And between 16 to 18, those services are non-existent. And mental health has to be the priority. When we're a child, we are literally soaking up all the information from the world around us, and that becomes our learned behaviour, the foundations for our beliefs, our ethics, our morals. It helps forge the very person we will become as an adult. And when mental health isn't correctly tackled, with those needs being adequately met in an adequate time frame, it can cause permanent changes to the brain of that child and have a knock-on effect for the rest of their adult lives. Learning lasts a lifetime, but mental health, when tackled in real time, doesn't have to. And these are the crucial years for brain development. And I'm going to actually link another video in the description below for you. You can click on that and give that a quick watch too. And our mental health in our childhood actually becomes our mental health in our adulthood. It's a knock-on effect, a ripple effect. It becomes our status quo, our autopilot, and our brains will always fall back into that status quo, especially when it feels under threat. And yes, we can go to therapy as adults, we can join the NHS waiting list, we can take our over-the-counter medications, all with the end goal of being a productive workforce for the nation. But that doesn't actually get to the root of the problem. What if we actually got ahead of it when it first started? What if we broke that fight, flight and freeze process when it first shows? When those first precursor signs are there that our child's mental health is going downhill, our teenager's mental health is going downhill, or someone close to us, their mental health is going downhill. We need genuine support in place for these children that fosters confidence, a growth mindset, healing, well-being, and focuses on the root cause, the common denominator, so that when they feel threatened or their autonomy is threatened in any way, their safety, their well-being, they fall back onto that growth mindset as their default instead. That growth mindset has become their brain's programming, because before the age of 7 is when we do our most crucial programming in our brains, when all our synapses are making all the connections and formulating those foundations, those building bricks of our future mental and emotional well-being. It becomes the foundations for our later years in life, and it becomes the foundation of our child and adult lives. And we would have a much happier adult population as a result too. Genuinely look around you. How many people do you know in your personal lives that have mental health ailments that started much younger than it was first picked up? We are seeing record numbers of young adults leaving education requiring daily medication to cope in society. So many of our young adults are leaving the education system reliant on medication to support their mental health. And that isn't me attacking medication, but medication is just a small part of an appropriate care plan for mental well-being. It's a small part of it, a fraction. And it should be a stopgap. It's a support until the root cause has been resolved. However, we tend to ignore the root causes and just focus on sticking a plaster over it. And that doesn't work a long time. That has ripple effects that go down generations, affects all factors of our lives, that approach. And it's almost become a fob-off response now. Oh, here, take these pills. That one's not working, try this one. And the waiting lists are so long for any psychologist or counselling service that you literally are just given these pills and sent away with them. And that isn't going to help. We need more. We shouldn't have a child and adult population dependent on medication just to survive in society. We need a better society, one that doesn't require medication. They don't tend to be given any genuine plans to support their healing in any way, shape or form. The medication is a mask, a plaster over the wound, with nothing to support genuine healing within. That's just compounding the issue, especially when you add in all the side effects on top of that. They should be a stopgap while the root cause is tackled and genuine support is put in place. The end goal shouldn't be medication for life. We are failing our younger generations, and they all deserve better than that. We have a duty of care as a society to our younger generations, whether you have children or not. I genuinely find it shocking that mental health needs in our children has become so normalised across society. And sometimes it feels like every other teenager you come across is on an antidepressant medication of some sort. And it genuinely is not normal. And this deflection of blaming the parents, blaming COVID, I mean, the excuses I've heard have been astronomical recently. It all just falls very short of the mark and isn't actually going to do anything to help resolve this problem. Society is designed top to bottom for profit, not for the well-being of the people of this nation. And that is what we need to change, starting with the schools. Because until our children become the primary focus of the education system, these numbers are only going to continue to soar. It's now a third of UK students feeling this way. A third of our children feeling this way. Experiencing chronic mental health conditions that debilitate their lives day to day. That's not normal. We've gradually taken away their childhood more and more, chipped away at it since the Industrial Revolution. And I suggest you watch my video on the history of education. And you can find that by scrolling down, and you will have to scroll quite far to be fair. Or you can head over to my playlist on that other platform. It's the Home Education UK playlist, and you can watch it there. It is well worth the watch. And when we look at the evidence and see these numbers increasing, so 28% of our secondary students not being able to attend school due to mental health needs, and then tie that together with the fact that 67% of our working class students actually leave education without qualifications, and by that I mean they get, in our age terms, a D and below, but in their terms it's a 3 and below. However, it doesn't take much to recognise that as the numbers, this 28% keeps increasing, of our children suffering with mental health conditions, so will the number of children failing the GCSEs. A child in a state of mental distress, living day to day in fight or flight, in an environment that doesn't feel conducive to their learning, is not going to learn a thing. It's just a babysitting service at that point. Our brains are incapable of retaining information like that when we're in a state of fight or flight. And our collective approach as a nation needs to change. Child mental health needs to be the priority, because that has a ripple effect across all of society. They then grow up to be fully well-rounded, capable, happy adults, capable of emotional regulation. They then raise children with that growth mindset approach. And at the end of the day, the government should know a happier workforce is a more productive workforce. And the very fact that we have 28% of students unable to attend school due to these feelings of depression is alarming in itself. And that's just, there's a precursor to that point. They don't just wake up one morning and suddenly decide they want to be part of that 28%. 3 in 10 of our 5 to 16-year-olds are feeling this way. And the government approach of deflection is not working. We are fast ending up with a heavily medicated nation. And it's not normal for a society to need medication to function as a society. They can normalise it all they want, but I ain't buying it. And I don't think you are either.